Hello, everyone. So we are live on air right now, and we are at the Huawei Connected event, or Huawei Eco Connect, rather it is, in Berlin. I was there yesterday, so I'm back in the office here in Hamburg today. But my colleague Eugenio is still there. Hi, Eugenio. You are in Berlin, right?
Yes, I am, Knud. I'm in Berlin, right outside of the City Cube venue where the Huawei Eco Connect event is being held. Today is the last day. And yeah, it was pretty interesting event to be with. Looking
Very
forward
good.
to tell you guys about what we saw in here.
Yeah. So tell us, what was your impression? What did you learn today?
Well, from the general point of view, I was quite impressed by the fact that Huawei seemed to have like a very good coverage, for both from an horizontal point of view in terms of the technology stack. So they have products basically in everywhere. So devices, chipsets, handsets. I even heard they were
Oh, you're breaking off there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's better. I can take over if you break off. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really wide coverage in terms of the technology. So connectivity, in terms of like they have gateways, edge gateways. They have like cloud solutions. They also have like this IoT platform that cover connectivity management, device management, application enablement. So from that point of view, I'm pretty impressed that they do everything from the technology point of view, but also vertically they are pretty much everywhere in every vertical. So I saw things in manufacturing, in oil and gas, in energy, in smart cities. So this is a really good coverage, which makes Huawei one of the main players, not just in IoT but generally in the technology world, telecommunication. So it was good being here because it gave me like a very good overview of what they are doing, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess in addition to that, usually you don't see all of that because they do a lot in China, and it's for someone who doesn't speak Chinese, it's sometimes very difficult to understand and see what's going on in China. And so a lot of the things that they present obviously is coming out of China, but they are also quite active in Europe and in the US, which some people may be quite surprised to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, this event was actually focused on their business in Europe. So, one of the main talks were, about how they can, progress this in Europe. Myself, I've actually focused these days on trying to understand, what are their, efforts in bringing forward the nb-iot technology, because right now it's what my research is focusing on, low power wide area networks. And I must say, I mean, they seem to be pushing it pretty, strongly.
Yeah, I
So
was
there's,
just gonna let's go topic by topic. I think we have about 4 or 5 topics we can talk about based on what we had. So let's start with nb-iot. Obviously, for those who haven't watched previous analysis or haven't read some of the report, nb-iot is a new communications technology that is on the low power side of the connectivity. It's a new technology that has just been launched, and Huawei is one of those that is supporting it. But at the end of the day, most major telco companies around the world are making a narrowband IoT possible, which at the end of the day means very cheap connectivity for IoT devices all over the world or in many places of the world. So what have you learned on this technology? Because it's really new.
Yeah, well, first thing, you mentioned earlier, sometimes, the China market is kind of like a mystery for us. So, and it was good to hear that they discussed a little bit about their progress there. And it was good to hear, how they are, pushing forward the coverage for nb-iot network. They're also supported by the Chinese government. So they have this IoT China Industry Alliance, They are working on different like pilot cases. They are like talking with companies. They are showcasing, the technologies, and also the government is involved in this, development or nb-iot. They are pushing forward, and they actually, made this, notes for the development of the nb-iot, and they are making it so that the whole nation, China, will have like a coverage by 2020. So they intend to have like the whole country covered in less than 3 years. So which is pretty good.
So let me just quickly check that, because I think I saw a press release from China Unicom, one of the operators, saying that they already got all of China covered.
Okay.
That is not the case yet, because I think they said they have 400,000 base stations equipped. So you're saying it's only...
but maybe they have something like that, meaning that they have a presence in every region. So the way I understood it, it meant that it was that they would have coverage, like, full coverage of the whole country by 2020.
Okay.
That was what I got from the presentation yesterday. That was what they were advertising. So there may be, some like different, depends also maybe on the operator, because, sometimes, they mention, coverage like of countries, but maybe it's not global coverage of the country. There are like some regions that are like some holes in coverage. Maybe by 2020 they plan to have like all the whole country covered in terms of like full coverage. But that's what I heard yesterday. Yeah.
And so we will see lots of new applications that are going to be introduced, IoT applications, via technology like nb-iot. And the one that they showcased when I was there yesterday, they had this yellow bike lock, which they claim they have in a lot of cities already in China for these yellow bikes. I don't know if these are public bikes or whatever, but it's like a connected bike lock that has a couple of years connectivity battery, which is something that you haven't seen before with with 3G or other technologies. That's something that we saw there.
Yeah. I was actually talking today with the guy from Multitech, and he was actually explaining me about all these little nb-iot devices that they had in there. And was also this bike lock you were talking about is actually for bike tracking. So in case, I don't know, you forget where your bike is, or maybe it gets stolen or something, that you can just know where it is. And in addition to that, another thing about the applications may not be like new applications, but one thing that I've seen is that they are giving quite a push for some specific applications using nb-iot. The major one seems to be smart metering. Specifically for water metering and gas metering. Electric metering, I'm not sure, because I haven't heard many discussions, but I think, it would be like pretty similar case, but specifically for gas and water metering. So it's a pretty good application for that. And there was someone also like claiming that the European market for metering could be completely taken over by nb-iot technology in theory, if they play the cards well. So I'm not sure about that. It's pretty, optimistic. But these are, the talks that you can hear.
Yeah, I think you got to put some reality to that. It is possible in the future, but even the utility companies have developed their own standards, have already started rolling out on top of other technologies. I am doubtful that all of them will change their technology over time. I've seen also some mesh networks being deployed. So, for example, you had I think the Norwegian utility that has rolled out the WirePass solution, 700,000 meters. So I'm not sure if all of that is going to happen. So that's some of it is obviously marketing talk.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears. 5G. 5G is the other big telecommunications technology everybody is talking about, perhaps even more than nb-iot. Right?
Well, yes. 5G is like actually, the future, in terms of like, cellular networks.
It is the future. I want to share a few things that I learned yesterday when I was there. So everybody talks about it because you will be able to transfer so much more data than today via cellular networks. That's why people love it, or why people think it's going to be a big thing. plus the latency, which basically means the time between when you do something and when it gets to the other side is so low that you can actually do time critical operations on it. And so I was always like, okay, 5G, what do you really need it for? And then the guy from Huawei said, well, you can connect your smart factory of the future, everything through 5G. And I said, well, why do you need to do that? You have a cable in there anyways. And he argued that perhaps it's going to be even cheaper and easier to do it wireless. You don't need any cable anymore. And I said, seriously? I mean, that's going to cost a lot of money and everything. And then I talked to the guys from KUKA Robots who were also there. And I asked them, will you connect your smart factory to 5G when it comes out? And they said, absolutely, we will give that a try. We think it might have some advantages. I was really surprised by that even the people who are the manufacturing guys on the floor, the KUKA people, said, yes, we are not sure if it's really going to work, if it's going to be cost effective, but we will definitely for sure try because we do think it might have some advantages. That I thought was interesting. But here's the big but. Stop thinking about 5G because it'll only be out in 5 years. Yes, they are testing it right now. Berlin and Deutsche Telekom are actually, I learned yesterday, are one of the first hubs actually trying to testing some of it, but they haven't even done the so-called white paper yet, and where they agree on some of the standards and the rollout plan. So also, realistically, we can expect this technology in 2022. So that's 5 years from now. We are seeing with nb-iot right now how long it takes to ramp up that. I mean, if you're saying it's only in all of China in 2 years, and China is ahead, all of that takes time. So this technology is really going to change things, but we need to wait another 5, 6, maybe even more years. Yeah, so that's 5G. I also want to talk about cloud quickly. I think this was sort of the theme of the whole event there. I'm not sure if you have any specific thoughts on cloud, but
well, what again, I have been focusing mostly, on nb-iot. But one thing I can say about the cloud that I was surprised to see also so many operators like having this, cloud-enabled business, leaning on Huawei technology. I'm talking about Deutsche Telekom.
I can tell you why.
Okay, Deutsche Telekom, Orange, Vodafone. So yeah. That's what I've seen. And yeah, please tell me why.
Well, the reason why is Huawei would like to be one of the big 5 cloud companies. We see that all the users in the world are migrating their systems to clouds because it makes a lot of sense for them. Amazon and Microsoft are killing it in the cloud. Just last night we had results from them, and they were, again, the cloud business is driving both of their stock prices higher today. And Huawei would like to be in there as well. But the strategy of Huawei is not to offer their own cloud necessarily to the end customer, but to partner with all the major telcos and be the backend for that cloud. So Huawei is partnering with Orange. The Orange cloud is based on Huawei. Huawei is partnering with Deutsche Telekom. Deutsche Telekom and T-Systems is the Huawei cloud. Telefonica and 2 more, I think. And so that's their way how they want to become one of the 5 big cloud companies. And yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. On top of that, there was a nice presentation yesterday by CERN, which is this Swiss, I don't actually know how you call that in English, like they do the nuclear fusion technology, like this huge underground laboratory, if you want. And they have lots of data that they need to have calculate in the cloud. It was fascinating to see like petabytes of data. And they are also working with Huawei, but they're not doing any of those solutions. They are working with an open source cloud, the OpenStack cloud. And they were saying that they had a public tender a couple of years ago, and the T-Systems OpenStack cloud based on Huawei technology won the tender because it was the most performant. It was very interesting to see that.
Nice.
Yeah. Are there other things you want to be? We're coming towards the end of the discussion. Are there other things you want to mention that you learned at the event?
Well, going back to nb-iot discussion, there is actually one thing that I would like to say. So yesterday I was at this round table, and there were like Huawei representatives, but also some of their partners, mostly adopters for the smart metering, smart parking, and some device makers. And one of the main points of the discussion was actually about the fact that apparently for the moment many are. I'm sorry for this like siren around. It's just I'm opening the road. But one of the main points that was made there was that the industry should stop focusing too much on the technology like they are doing now, and start focusing on the business value that it can bring to customers. Because in the end, it's not about just going around and seeing what the technology's advantages are, how less power that you can use, how far it can go. Because one adopter, one that uses smart meters, one that uses like smart parking, is not interested in what technology is using. Is more interested in what actually is the return in terms of business value they will get by adopting that technology. And apparently they are trying to switch the discussion towards that. So they're trying. They were saying, "Hey, we should focus less on the technology and more on the value that the technology can bring on the market. So let's show more use cases. Let's share experiences of what we are doing,
and let's share return on investment calculations that show because it's so much cheaper or because it's enabling something you weren't able to do before. This is the return on investment. I've heard that before.
Yeah. So that I think was a very important point. And so in the end,
so let's ask them next year what the ROI was. Let's ask them next year what the ROI, the return on investment of the different, if they've found out, if they can share a little bit more about the value.
Yeah, hopefully, because as you may know, the first commercial deployments. Well, some of them are happening now, because there are some countries that are being, covered with nb-iot. I'm talking about Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, and so on. So, they're starting with, these pilot cases. Some of them, they may have like initial commercial deployments, but I think in order to have the first examples of return of investment, it's going to take at least a year, if not more, maybe even 18 months. So let's hope, next year we will have like some data on that, but I wouldn't bet on it too much. It's probably still too early, but I may be wrong. Let's hope.
Yeah, good. I wanted to share also that one of the themes that I found very interesting was about quantum computing. You may have heard the term. It was a very visionary speaker from Singularity University who said, quantum computing is such a huge difference. You're not thinking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a linear way anymore. You're thinking about 1, 4, 16, 1,000, 1 million, and so on. And it just enabled so much more. And one revelation I personally had when I heard, I'm not sure how easy and how quick it is because we haven't focused on that topic yet. But the interesting part is that blockchain, and one of the disadvantages of blockchain is it's very resource intense. You need to do lots of calculations in the background to make it happen. And so we've always argued that blockchain for IoT may be too difficult to achieve because there are so many calculations that need to happen. But in conjunction with quantum computing, this may change. This may make the computation a lot easier. And blockchain for IoT in terms of security, putting trust into different kinds of supply chain and so on, might actually be something that it enables. And I thought that was a very interesting piece. So we'll perhaps look a little bit deeper into blockchain in the next month. Look, I think we need to end it here. I think it was a very good discussion, very interesting conference. I think there were about, 1,000, 2,000 people. And yeah, I would say I look forward to seeing you back here in the office on Monday. And I hope that this was insightful for the readers. If you, for the viewers, not the readers. Usually it's the readers. If you found it something interesting, please leave a comment here because we actually would love to understand what it is you like or what you would like us to do more in the future. All right.
Yeah, so thank you very much for viewing, and yeah, leave us some comments. And I also like to thank Huawei for inviting us to this conference. It was pretty interesting, and yeah, we will be happy to join for the next one and see what progress are being made.
Absolutely. All right, Eugenio, have a nice weekend and see you on Monday.
You too, Knud.
Bye-bye.
Bye.